There is no absolute background, and the properties of something are defined only in terms of its participation in this network of relations. There is no absolute background in biology. The basic method is to identify something, playing the role of an absolute background, and understand it as a contingent property which itself evolves. Law is par excellence the thing that wants a reason. The world in which we are embedded is nothing but an ever evolving network of relationships. The first phenomenological mistake of classical science is to treat the world as a stage rather than as a happening. Newton's absolute space and time function as metaphysical backstage that never enters the drama. Yet every disclosed thing is disclosed within a situation. To posit an eternal background is to deny the world's wording. To posit an eternal background is also to deny a world's worlding, its active giving of measure, horizon, and meaning. Epsteinian reversal is an ontological hygiene. Remove the background and the thing becomes what it is only in its relations. A particle is not an essence with coordinates. It is a knot of interactions whose properties are abbreviations of participation. What looks like substance is often only stabilized reciprocity, relational invariance mistaken for inner cores. Environment, files, environment files, files of environments, is not an external container but a constitutional field of intelligibility. When mass is determined environmentally, the lesson is not merely technical, it is phenomenological. What a thing is depends on the field on which it can show up and exert effects. Thus, the inside of an entity is inseparable from the outside that solicits it. Darwin after Epstein. Species as relational gatherings. Species are not eternal types but historical assemblages. Relational categories stabilized by the biosphere's commerce. After Darwin, a living form is not defined as a priori, but by its ongoing traffic with niches, predators, mates, pathogens, climates, an ecology that continuously rewrites what counts as the organism. Natural selection is the worldly way novelty happens, not creation ex nihilo, but the reweaving of relations into new constraints. Novelty is not a miracle inserted into time, it is time's own capacity to restructure networks such that new affordances and vulnerabilities appear. Evolution is the world's method of inventing new ways to persist. To see Darwin in the light of Epstein is to recognize that life has no fixed backdrop. The biosphere is its space-time. There is no neutral nature behind living things. There is only a shifting relational mesh in which traits are meaningful as strategies within interaction webs. To see Epstein in the light of Darwin is to treat even physical law as a historical outcome selected, not simply given. If fundamental parameters come as plurality of possibilities, the metaphysical confidence in one eternal script collapses. The law becomes less like a decree and more like a survivor, a regularity that persists because it can. The dangerous thought is not that laws change, but that lawfulness itself must be accounted for as an achieved stability. Uniformities are precisely what demands explanation. They are not self-justifying. A law is a pattern that has endured, therefore it invites the question, by what process did it become the pattern that holds? The post-Epstein scientific method is a disciplined suspicion. Wherever you see an absolute, look for the hidden contingency. Backgrounds are often only habits of thought, unnoticed scaffolds that do explanatory work while pretending to be given. The methodological task is to make the scaffold itself a phenomenon. What we call fundamental becomes under sufficient scrutiny emergent from a deeper relational fabric. Space, particles, fields, each can be redescribed as a higher order pattern arising from a more elementary network. The ontological trend is consistent. Substance thins, relation thickens. Emergence is not an excuse, it is a demand for genealogy. To say emergence is to pledge to an account of how stable patterns arise, persist, and fail. The phenomenology of emergence is the study of how the world keeps its promises long enough for us to call them laws. The world is not a warehouse of objects, but a choreography of constraints. Objects are slow constraints. Laws are slower constraints. Both are ways the relational mesh composes itself into repeatable forms. If laws evolve, the question of meta-law arises as a new version of metaphysics. Must there always be a deeper rule that governs the evolution of rules? The demand for a final ground reappears here as the desire to end the chain of because. The refusal of infinite regress is often a psychological need disguised as a methodological principle. A phenomenology of science notices the existential motive. We crave an unmoving foundation because we fear contingency, but contingency may be the world's signature, not a deficit to be cured. A mature relationalism learns to live with a moving ground. Explanation as an ever-deepening descent, not a final bedrock. The goal becomes not absolute closure, but increased intelligibility and constraint. Better ways to track what changes and what stabilizes and under what conditions. If laws are time-bound, mathematics can no longer be naively treated as eternal mirror of being. Mathematics may be less a transcendent heaven and more a craft of articulations. Formal tools that evolve with the kind of regularities we encounter and the practices we build. The eternity of mathematics may be the phenomenological effect of repeatability under disciplined practices. What feels timeless might be what remains invariant under a method. The invariant is not necessarily metaphysical, it may be practical, stabilized by communal rigor. To make mathematics historical is not to make it arbitrary, it is to locate it within the world's unfolding intelligibility. A time-bound mathematics still binds, just as a historically evolved law can still contain. Just as a historically evolved law can still constrain. The issue is not whether truth exists,
Why didn't you answer?